Hello, everybody, and welcome to Music Industry Insights Worldwide. Today, we've got the awesome Daniela with us. Hi, Daniela, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you for having me here.
It's such a pleasure. Do you want to tell the listeners a little bit more about yourself, where you're from, and what you do?
Yes, thank you. Well, my name is Daniela and I'm originally from Italy. I moved to London a while ago and I'm proud not to call myself a Londoner. I'm a singer-songwriter and yeah, I'm releasing, my first EP now. One of my music videos just came out at the end of September and the new single is coming up at the beginning of November. So I'm very excited. It's a very, very good time for me right now.
Thank you so much for sharing that. You're also a lecturer at the ICM, at the ILLMC, sorry. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that and what you do there?
Yeah, so at LCCM, I actually work as the youth music officer there, and I look after the outreach and the creative programs. So one of my important missions, I think, in life is to make sure that everyone has access to music education and to very high quality. And I believe that the London College of Contemporary Music, LCCM, truly does provide that. It is full of incredible creatives between tutors and the student body. And I just feel very proud to be able to bridge that gap between young musicians and higher education.
Fantastic. And how long have you actively been in the music industry for? And has it been a passion of yours, or is it something you've always done educationally?
Well, I think it's something that music and singing in general has always been part of my life. My father used to play bass. I remember being a young girl and listening to my grandmother singing in church, and absolutely loving that. And I always loved playing in bands, growing up and so on. And then I think I took it very seriously, probably 10 to 15 years ago. And I was performing, singing a lot of jazz setups, a lot of swing repertoire, and so on. And my love for jazz, I think it's a big one in my life. I wouldn't define myself a jazz singer, but I love playing with jazz musicians. And yes, I think music has always been a passion of mine. And once I was in London, I was also able to study at Trinity, Laban, for a music education and performance master degree. So I was very blessed and lucky in my life to be surrounded by music.
How's that been? Obviously, coming from Italy as well to the UK, that must have had its own challenges. And how have you kind of navigated that? Because the style of music in Italy compared to the style of music over it is slightly different. So, how did you navigate that? And tell us a little bit more about your journey from Italy to the UK.
Yeah, I think, thank you for asking that because I guess it's definitely an important part of my journey as a woman and as a person. I think there's always something beautiful when you're speaking to people who move somewhere else to have either a better opportunity in life or to follow their dreams or to help their family better. There's always something special in there, and I think I truly believe there's always a story that tells a lot more than what people end up doing, if that makes any sense, in the everyday life. And I guess it wasn't the most easiest thing I ever done in my life, but I'm super proud of it. I think the barriers in terms of facing different cultures, different languages, sort of readapting your life to something that you're not used to, and I guess the element of always living in that limbo of spaces where you left your home, you're trying to build a new one, and I think also after so many years, you just never know which one is home anymore, and you're just sort of left in that space in between. I think I have a song around that as well. It's
Well,
yeah, I think yeah. I would tend to think maybe it wasn't the easiest thing, but it's something that I'm incredibly proud of. Yeah, understanding different cultures is it's a process, and
yes.
it humbles you, and it's one of the most beautiful things I think human beings can do.
I love that. I love that. And obviously, you've had a musical education. So tell us a little bit more about your musical education, your background, and how you've got into where you are now.
Yes, I guess yeah, it started from my family having a love for music in general, being surrounded by it, and I think always finding a community of musicians or creative people, I guess, has always been where I felt more comfortable and more at home and more understood. So I always navigated around those communities. And then I guess I always have that feeling of just like I wanted to make it official. Like I always sang and I always felt that I wasn't enough, whether because I wasn't from here, whether because I wasn't doing it in my first language, whether because of a lot of reasons, whether maybe also because I was a woman in a place with a lot of male musicians, and I think the music industry is still one of those places where it's heavily male dominated, and I don't know, I just felt always out of place, and I thought that actually going to study music at higher education was gonna give me that validation of my talent or of my skills and so on, and I would tend to think that it builds your confidence and it makes you feel like you achieve something beautiful, you meet amazing people, and you definitely learn a lot. But the reality is that I'm not so sure the validation comes from that.
I struggle with that myself, and I think that's something that we all struggle with in the music industry, is that validation and feeling that we are doing the right thing, and we're moving in
Yeah,
the right direction, but we're also inspiring and building community, which is really, really important. So do you want to tell
yeah.
us a bit more about some of the challenges and barriers that you personally faced? Obviously, come as a woman and being underrepresented and coming from Italy, what kind of challenges and barriers have you faced being in the music and entertainment industry?
Yeah, I guess in general, to be honest, I still believe that my position is a very lucky position because I was able, to move to a country out of my own personal will and so on. So I would see myself as being able to acknowledge, part of the privilege that I had, and still within this, there is still elements that, did challenge my journey, and most probably I would tend to think that the biggest one probably was the cultural readjustment on how I express myself. And it doesn't have to be just with the language, but just the way that you sound, or the how eloquent you could be. Even just doing podcast interview like the one that we're doing now for me. It's a thing, and sort of listening back to myself and all the pressure that I would put on my journey and how I sounded, what I put forward. Am I representing who I am, what I stand for, my family, all the women in my family worked so hard for me to be here. Am I doing a good job enough for that? So, I guess probably language and cultural bias
Yeah.
of being able to really fit in there
Okay.
and not to be sort of labeled, oh, she's the loud Italian woman, or oh, don't worry, it's just this. And I think that probably, and in general, I think the typical gender stereotypes as
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
like don't worry about your pretty little head, or she's probably not even going to be that good, or not knowing this. And in a way that became almost my strength, and this is a conversation I have often with my best friend. And sometimes being underestimated could be a powerful tool in
Very,
life.
very powerful tool, because you can turn it into a kind of negative into a positive, can't you?
Yes.
I always do. So yeah, I love that. And did you find obviously Italy was not very well placed to kind of progress your career? Did you find that you had to move out of Italy to become that successful person, to become more recognized? Do you think that that was part of it too?
I think there's definitely an element, if I look back at Italy and the music industry when I was younger, it was a very much of a smaller niche and very sort of selected genres that were available, especially to young females who wanted to sing.
Yeah.
And I think that element definitely made me think, okay, I want to be somewhere else. And perhaps, a city like London is going to make it, a little bit easier. And the music industry, I think, in the UK is much more widespread across genres and so on. I guess I grew up in the outskirts of Milan, and if you wanted to sing when I was a young girl, it was like, oh, okay, well, let's go and have bel canto classes. Let's go to the Conservatoire. And I'm thinking, I'm listening to hip hop and to grunge and to, like, R&B and pop.
Yeah, I get you, and I do love Italy, and I love the culture, but like I do get that it's not as diverse and it's not as representative, maybe. So if we come
Yes.
to the UK music industry, for your own personal kind of for Latino women, should we say, do you see a lot of representation there, or do you think that we need to see more of that kind of representation too?
I think we always need to see more.
Yeah,
Always.
totally agree.
From the global majority, from women, from everyone should be much more represented. I think we are part, I think, of generations, and we still see any industry from the music to anything else where, it's being led by a specific demographic of people on the planet. And little by little, we see changes in the past 10 years. It's been much better. We want to see more and more.
I want to see no more, and it's too slow for my liking, but I mustn't complain. I do think we are making progress, but it would be great to see a little bit quicker. Yeah, I totally agree with you there, Daniela. And kind of what are your thoughts and feelings around equality, diversity, inclusion at the moment in the music industry?
Yes, I think it's a very important subject, and it's one very close to my heart. We need many more programs, I think, within the music industry. We need much more mentorship. We need more visibility. So many different groups. Like, I love, what you stand for, what you've been working through. I've seen you growing in the past years, and I think it's beautiful. It's needed.
Yeah.
And I mean, if I think about, you know, gender equality, it's just, and gender equity, if we want to put it right, it just really needs to happen. We still see within the music industry all these institutional races as well going through, and everything needs to be really looked at and shredded a light, and without, I think, being worried that there's going to be a change. There are wonderful people there, and changes should happen, I think, through understanding and being supportive. I still see people out there looking, scared or like worried that it's going to change. It needs to change. Change is good.
So, but I think people are also uncomfortable with change because they're used to a certain way of doing things, and I think they're scared of losing power as well, which is part of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, but this is the thing where people are going so wrong. What are you scared of? When people are together, that's when there is true power and
yeah,
understanding and love. I mean, without sounding too like, uh,
yeah,
I don't want to simplify things that are incredibly difficult to change and to maneuver around and to create opportunities and to open doors. But I do want to live my life thinking that if I put love and understanding first, I will hope that other people would do it my way.
yeah.
That said, I think, from institutions to policies to opening doors, creating programs, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And that is the true sort of movement that will push things forward, and being loud, making our voices heard. Whoever you are, just always say your piece. I think this is what I think it's very important. I was very lucky, London College of Contemporary Music, and you've been a guest as well,
Yeah,
of being able to
yeah,
put up a series of small and humble panels, for women in music. There's so many great things happening out there, and this university allowed me to sort of carry on with a series of events this year, and I met so many wonderful women. Even just creating places where we can all sort of talk about things and inspiring younger people. It just makes a difference. Creating opportunities to talk, to discuss, to confront each other, and also, confronting people who might not think like me, and who might, completely think that something right is the opposite of what I believe in, and trying to build that.
and we can share and learn from each other as well, which is really, really important. And I think, a lot of people forget that is we all bring something different to the table. We can all learn from each other, and we can all inspire the future generations, like you said, which is really important.
Yeah, definitely. If there's one thing I learned, but moving away from where I grew up and where I was born and something like that, is that alone, it's hard.
Yes.
It's hard. It's very hard. And I learned that very quickly. And as much as it is difficult to work with other people, especially the ones that might not think alike,
Yeah.
but it's important. This is how you build change. And
Yes.
it's how you build representation, and it's about standing strong and just keep on being there and keep on grabbing that chair for that seat at the table.
I love
It's
that.
hard though.
And the other thing I was going to say, Daniela, is obviously we're from a very diverse community of people in the music industry. Do you think cultural and age differences also have an impact on the amount of diversity and inclusion we can achieve and how fast we can achieve that?
Yes. I mean, in my view, we should achieve it right away. It should be easy, but it's not. I think it's about opportunities. I think it's about um, people. It's not even anymore about opening doors, but it's really understanding how part of everyday life that is, and how if we put in forward something like music
Yeah,
um, into a business, when music is representative also of identity,
yeah.
of course, there should be everyone there, of course.
You know what? I think some of it might be in, some of it might be political issues, some of it might be religious issues,
Yes,
some of it might
totally.
be which countries you're from as well, because they have all got a different outlook, you know. And I think one of the problems we have in the UK is we have so much diversity in one aspect that it does make it harder to have the true inclusion because of some of the
Mm.
biases and prejudices from some of those communities.
In what sense? Sorry.
I think, like, for example, there's certain communities and religions that don't always accept other
Yeah,
differences. And I think that's also part of it and political as well. I think, you
yeah,
know, the communities are politicized, shall we say, which makes it harder to have that real inclusion. Do you think
yes.
that's something that we have to struggle with more in the UK than we do in other countries?
I would tend to say that probably I wouldn't know the full spectrum of that because I consider myself a very religious and apolitical person.
Yeah,
I believe that certain, and this is not in relationship to beliefs. I think beliefs are fine with me, and I'm a very spiritual individual, and I think everyone should be allowed. But I don't like the institutionalization of religion and politics because then they are used, like you were saying, more to control and to build specific society that I'm always going to be on the bitter end of. They
yeah,
are not built for me. They are not built for making me feel comfortable.
yeah,
So I think, considering that's my personal bias towards that, I would tend to think that for what I believe in, anything that represents an institution or a power of control among something that should be creative and should be representative and stand up for humans, I think there's a big conflict there, in my view.
yeah,
That's what I believe in. That said, I think I've seen beautiful scenarios, whether, I mean, I, for example, come from a very traditional family. My family is not religious, but very traditional. They didn't think that music was a profession, and they still believe that. So although I make a living out of it, if I go back home and I'm, my extended family of women, they still think that it's my hobby, So there's different levels of that, and it's interesting to see. And I had several conversations, and I work a lot with youth as well, where coming from very traditional background, sometimes people don't understand what could be the journey of an artist, of a creative, and to be able to re-educate ourselves and society on what an artist could be or what a career in the music industry looks like with all the different careers that are available. It's also part, I think, of where the change can happen.
100%. And what would you like to see change in the next few years around equality, diversity, inclusion?
I would definitely want to see a lot more from the global majority. I want to see a place for women to feel safe. I want to see a place for all communities to be involved. But definitely, um, I want to see the people that I make music with, the people that I respect, the people that I eat food every day with. I want to see them in the big meetings. I want to make sure that we're all gonna be in the big conference. I want to see that we're all gonna be performing on the big stages. This is what I want to see.
That'd be amazing. Let's hope that happens.
Yeah.
Okay, fingers crossed. We'll keep working towards that.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be that difficult. It really shouldn't be that difficult. And I see already like new generation like doing well, and numbers are changing. And
Yeah.
this is the most important thing. Yes, I think.
It's moving, isn't it, at times when you actually do see that progress and you're like, oh my God, we are making a difference. We are actually achieving things here. And I think I always hold on to that.
Yes, I think it's an important one. Still, the numbers they just gotta change.
Yeah, yeah. And obviously being in the music industry and having to be as part of that change and initiating change, does that affect your mental health? Has that made you obviously look at yourself and say, do you know what, am I supposed to be here? And do you value yourself?
Yeah,
Is your confidence always there?
I think I would. I do struggle like with issues of mental health related matters, and it's never straightforward. It never is, and I think what's most important is always to be able to surround yourself with people who understand that and value everyone for their strength and also their weaknesses, and sort of making sure that your work environment and your creative environment it's always well supported. It's a difficult one, I think. It's very difficult. I mean, yesterday was mental health day, and there's been a lot of talk around it. It's I think in such a demanding industry like the music industry is, where your heart is
Yeah,
always out there.
yes.
There's there's so many challenges. It's hard.
And it's not just about making the music anymore like it used to be. An artist has to be on social media. They have to do talks, they have to do panels, they have to do interviews, they have to do podcasts. So you're putting all this pressure onto this one artistic person, for example, that like yourself, that has to do all these different things as well as make music and as well
Yeah.
as if they have a job on the side. It can be a real strain. So well done for doing all the things you do. And now I want to talk a little bit more about you, Daniela, and the music that you do. So if any listeners want to find you, follow you, or find out more about your music, how would they do that and where would they find you?
Thank you for asking that. You can find me on all platforms from Spotify to Tidal, iTunes, and you can just look for Daniela, Daniela. My first single has done really well. It's called Lies. So if you're in for retro pop, jazzy tune,
Yeah.
chilled vibes, and a lot of sort of depth in the lyrics, go and check out my music. The second single is called Che si può fare, and it's actually a hymn to all the women in my family. It's actually inspired by a beautiful Italian composer, hence the title also there in Italian. The chorus is also in Italian, verse in English. So I think it builds a little bit more, tells you a little bit more about me. And you can surely find me on all the social media. You
Yeah.
can find me on Instagram, is Daniela Music, and you can find me on TikTok, which is the same.
I'll leave all of
And,
those link in the description as well below so people can look down on the description below to
uh,
find. Okay. So I'll do that. Anything coming up soon? Any more new releases that you've got coming up? Any shows?
yes, I got a beautiful new single, which is called Waiting,
Yeah.
coming out at the beginning of November. So I just can't wait. I'm always collaborating with a beautiful producer. His name is Ricky Ferguson, and I can't wait for you to have a listen to it. And you can find me gigging in London all the time. I usually gig with a set of fantastic jazz musicians and a mix a different repertoire from the Great American Songbook, Italian classics, my originals. So whether we're swinging or getting more into the soul side, you can find me at Nightjar or in central London in Soho.
Do go and check out Daniela's music. It is awesome. And please do go and support it. Go along to the shows, buy some merchandise, and go and show some love, please. Thank you so much, Daniela, for coming along today. Before we go, is there any major wins or successes that you would like to share with us before we wrap up?
I think, well, oh gosh, I don't know. It's a this is tricky. Successes, woo. I would say, yeah, just go out and check out my music, and thank you for inviting me on
Oh, it's a
your.
pleasure. And I'm sorry I missed the other one. I've had a lot going on, but we got there in the end. I appreciate your patience, your talent. You're awesome. please do go and check Daniela's music out. She's absolutely great. And thank you again for coming along, and I hope you have a great
Thanks so much. I will see you all soon. Bye.
bye.